Terve ja tervetuloa uuden ENCE TV-videon pariin. Tänään meillä on haastattelussa meidän uusi CS-joukkueen tanskalainen in-game leader Marco Snappi Pfeiffer. Ei muuta kuin otetaan ukko lauteille. So hello Snappi, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Yeah. First of all, welcome to ENCE, obviously. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Good to hear. Good to hear. First of all, obviously, how's it been? It's only been a little while now, a week or so. But what's the first impression like? Generally speaking.
It's been actually it's been really good. I'm actually surprised about how good it's been feeling to be here. I think both the organization has welcomed us with open arms and pretty much showed how professional the whole team behind it is, because that's um, yeah, it hasn't been the case in some of my past organizations. So it feels really good to feel welcome right from the start. And in terms of the team, like this might be like people might think I'm over exaggerating, but I feel like I haven't enjoyed playing so much for almost like a few years, as I have in these first 2 weeks, and that's while having an operation for appendix and pretty much hurting. So that kind of sums up how happy how happy I am to be here, and I think that it's I think everyone in the team has really enjoyed these two first weeks. It's been very hectic. We've been trying to get in as many hours as we could, and it's even though we've been playing like 10, 11 hours some of the days, people have been like ready and serious, and like it just feels really good.
Yeah. Obviously, when you start with the whole new lineup, there's a lot of things that you need to go over. It's not only playing, but all the theory behind it. So
Yeah.
it's good to hear everyone's really pumped and ready to do all the work.
Yeah.
Before we go maybe further into it, there's obviously I think going to be some fans around here that don't necessarily know your background as much. I know you. We've played against one another back in the day a few times.
Yeah.
But if you can go briefly through your history with CS.
Yeah, I started playing CS in like 2008 with some of the friends from my school. Then in 2009, like 1 year after, I joined my first really good team, which was Roskilde Ravens back then in 1.6. And in 2010, like our best result in 1.6 probably was third at the IEM Europe. And back then it was kind of like, I guess it was one of the biggest. It would be like a tier one tournament. All the best teams were there. Back then, it was mostly European teams, but it was almost like the European was probably harder than the NA version, because like most of the good teams back then was in Europe. There was only like one Korean team and maybe one American team that was actually relevant. So I played back then, and then in like 2012, I pretty much retired after 1.6. I did my bachelor in economics, and while just having started my master, I started playing a bit again, and I was asked to come and join Heroic. So I pretty much just pursued the dream and went all in on CS, and went full time with Heroic back in I think 2016. And since then, I've been playing full time. So it was obviously like a year or two where I felt like I was a bit behind, but I think I've been catching up, and I'm trying to. I feel like I still have a lot of hunger left in me, because I missed a few years. I feel like I missed maybe even my best years, because back then CS wasn't a sustainable career, as you probably also know, right?
Yeah.
So I've been in Heroic Optic since then, and then a short stint with Contact, and I'm really looking to kind of like bring it here with ENCE and show what I'm really capable of, and I feel like I've been blessed in this team with a lineup and an incredible coach to have the possibilities to do so.
Sounds good. Yeah, definitely know esports has changed quite a bit during this time that both of us have been around here.
Yeah.
Actually, quick thought there. What's your personal thought process on the whole age thing? I mean, if people do talk about you are 30, right? So, in esports years, you're closing in on the dinosaur ages, right?
Yeah,
But
I know.
what's your take on it?
To me, I think it hasn't been explored yet. I think when we're gonna see like Saivu and Simple going to 30, they're still gonna be top players. Uh, I think as people like I literally retired for 3 years, like from 2012 to 2015. I didn't own a PC for two of them, and like when I sometimes played, I would just like I think I had like maybe 3, 4, 500 hours played in that 3 year period in CS, which is like nothing. You'll play that in like 2 months now, right?
Yeah.
So I think that the main thing about the age is that all the good players retired. Like the I could definitely have like I was offered to join the best teams in Denmark in CS:GO, but I declined it and pursued like other things because like the money wasn't there, and when you get to a certain age, you kind of have to yeah make a living, and so I think the natural thing for most of the best players was to retire. And I think that is what has been limiting the age, also because I think as you see now, RPK like he's still like a very good player at 31. Like Forest, like doesn't like maybe it declined a bit, but I don't think it's due to age. I think it's due to other aspects of life. And I think if you're hungry and you prioritize CS enough, then I think you can go until you're 40, no problem, because a guy like what I think Tom Brady, what is he like 42, 43? He's
Hmm.
what in the Super Bowl again. And if you can do that in a physical sport like that, then I don't see any reason why you couldn't do it in CS. And even more so because like I think the only argument that would say that shouldn't be possible is reaction times. But from what I read, as long as you kind of keep your reactions, like if you keep practicing them, it's not really going to decline much until you're above 40. So, and this is also why goalkeepers in football can go until they're like 40 easily. Like what is Buffon? He's also above 40. It's my guess, right? I
Yeah.
don't know if I guess he's still. I'm not sure if he's still playing actually, but I guess so. So I don't. I just think it hasn't been explored in esports yet, and I think within the next 10 to 20 years, we're gonna see a lot of players play until they're 40, and maybe even later. I don't know if that's possible, but like there isn't a physical restriction as
Yeah.
there is in other sports.
Yeah, I fully agree. We're yet to see. This is such a young sport still, something that you could do as a professional career. So I fully agree.
Yeah.
We don't really know. I mean, I had to make the choice when I was 30 to quit and explore in other. Well, it didn't take me too far. I'm still here, in a way,
No,
right?
no. I mean, like, I think we all had to make that choice. All of us that came from that era, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, well, let's move on to today instead of reminiscing on the past and thinking of what does age do to you.
Yeah.
You already obviously mentioned Eetu Saw, the coach of the team. How's the cooperation between the two of you started? Obviously, you guys, as far as I know, you don't have any history between the two of you. So, how's the cooperation working?
I think like me and him have luckily pretty similar mindsets on how to play, which is also what the feeling I got, and which was a huge factor in me coming to ENCE was actually the talks I had with him before signing. And I think he's very easygoing. He's actually like I feel like I can learn a lot from him. I think he's super smart, and I think it's super important for me to actually have that respect for my coach, because if I feel like I won't get much out of the coach, then I'm probably like the cooperation won't be good, right?
Yeah,
But I feel like it was like I think he might potentially be like it's only 2 weeks in, but like I don't think I ever had a coach like him. I think yeah, I think he's just amazing, to be honest, and I think the cooperation so far has been good, and it's very different because in my past teams I always had the responsibility of like when we do theory and all this stuff. I was always the one to do it. But I really trust that Eto can, like, he's doing it just as much, if not more than I am. And I think I can learn a lot from him and develop my style and develop our style to be very unique, because we have like Saw as, who I don't know, but potentially like maybe even the best Finnish in-game leader. Like, I know that not skill-wise maybe, but like in terms of how his teams were playing, like I think he's definitely was up there.
Good to hear. Actually, that's a good segue to the part where, kind of without giving too much away, obviously, how's the first weeks been with the team? Kind of what are you building towards, or how the practice has been going so far?
It's been going really good, and as I said, it feels like we just click, all five of us. Like the personalities in the team click really good. But it's early days, so like it should be clicking also right now. But I feel like every day you can feel after every day that you actually feel like, okay, we improved, and that's a really good feeling to have, that you can constantly see that day by day minor details are improving, the understanding of each other are improving, and if we can keep going, obviously the improvements are going to slow down, because as you fix more and more, it's minor, like the things you can fix will become less and less, right?
Hmm.
But I think having a guy like Ito is gonna help that, so we don't end up stagnating, because you have a lot of ideas, and right now we have so many ideas, because like Elu was part of a very successful ENCE team. So, and Dodo came from Havo, Jusha came from Sprout. Okay, we all come from different backgrounds, so we all have different experiences, and obviously we're gonna rely a lot on where I'm comfortable, and adding stuff from adding minor bits from everyone. But at the same time, like I think it's really good in the sense that we have so many ideas, and Eto have a lot of ideas, so we won't stagnate, which can be like a danger zone for a lot of teams. That, okay, we get off to a good start maybe for the first 6 months, but then we won't develop any further. And I think that's where Saw is super vital.
In terms of roles in the team, obviously, when you build a team, you have a certain kind of vision, and then you think of players playing in certain roles. How do you see that now? Like in comparison, has it played out so far the way that you kind of expected it to? Has there been any changes that you can think of from a
I
roles
think the
perspective?
way with the team was built, in a way, me and Saw actually kind of agreed that, like, obviously we needed to have like, we didn't need to have like, the role should be kind of set, so we will usually be me. Like, I'm not gonna maybe say too much, but like this roles doesn't need to be that set that people can't do. Like, if they have a comfort position on some map, then they might play anchor, but then on another map they might be a rotator, right?
Yeah,
So I think actually in this team, one of the benefits is that the people are pretty versatile. So we don't need to have one guy that can only lurk and one guy that can only like run first, right?
yeah,
So I think we built the maps kind of similarly, but there will be differences depending on the map into which role a player have. And I think it's also really good, because if everyone knows how to kind of be in different situations, then it's gonna help us long term when we get into the mid rounds, that someone can just take over another role if it's needed, right?
yeah.
So I don't think we are that rigid in the sense that we have one guy that's always lurking, and because we actually wanted to avoid that, because it can also be, in a way, easier to read for the opponent if it's always the same guy.
Yeah, for sure. Even if Get Right managed to do it for 15 years,
Yeah, yeah, but even that got outdated at a point, right? But yeah, he did do it for a long, long time.
As an example. No, I do agree. Versatility is always a very, very good thing. Obviously, communication is a key point in a game of Counter Strike. Most of you guys have, background playing in English. A couple of you don't, but in the big picture, has everything worked out well so far in terms of communication?
Yeah, I think I don't think the communication is I think it's actually been better than in a lot of my past teams. The communication here already. I think the major thing is that we come from four different countries, right? So positions will be named differently, and
Yeah.
that's actually the biggest because like then you might have a call out on a map, and all three, like all of us have that call out, but it's 4 different positions, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, you probably have to rename it to something completely new, because that is only going to confuse everyone. Because if you have a habit for like 3 or 4 years of calling a certain position something, then suddenly it's the back box next to it, like that's going to confuse you at the start. So I think the biggest issue in regards to communication is getting all the names down, and like that is going to take a few months for everyone to have it in the back of their head on every single map, that this position is this and this position that is that. And it is something we are going to have to go through multiple times probably to make sure that, because when you start 7 maps and you go over position, and every position is like almost have a new name, right? It's going to make it a bit confusing for everyone. So I think that's the biggest thing we have communication wise right now.
Yeah. Have the guys, the Finns, implemented any Finnish ones in there?
Yeah, they have implemented a few like Finnish names, but I think we are starting to also change those, because then we can't pronounce it, the rest of us, and then it's like, okay, fuck it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, you have the first tournament coming up, right around the corner. Thoughts about it? Expectations?
I think we basically discussed if it was a good idea or not to play this already, because obviously we only had 2 weeks. It's not a lot. We won't have a map pool that's ready to go into a tournament already, but we felt like, to us, the major tournament is like the ESL Pro League, right? So we need to just prepare as good as we can for that. And if that means that we have to go a bit more unprepared into official games to learn how people act in an official game, because there actually can be a difference, and nobody here knows each other, right? So we need to kind of play the official games to learn if somebody is over aggressive in official games, or if someone is playing too scared suddenly, or if someone's communication changes, or and how, because you probably learn the most from official games, because that's when everyone is in the competitive mode, right? So we need to have some official games before the ESL tournament in order to learn and fix mistakes. We obviously think we can win it, and I would be disappointed if we don't win still. But at the same time, we also go in with the mentality that this is practice. This is practice to win. And I think that's the mentality we have about the upcoming tournament. That doesn't mean we won't get disappointed about losing, but at the same time, it's a process, right? And in 2 weeks, you won't have 7 maps ready or 6 maps.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree. You need the official games to really game test basically, where you are. So I do agree. It's a good plan. Um, so let's think ahead a little bit towards. I mean, obviously, like you said, the first big target, so to speak, is EPL. It is only a month and a bit away. Um, uh, how do you see the coming month? Obviously, with this tournament coming up now, but like, what's it going to be like before EPL? Where do you hope to be?
I mean, we hope to be in a spot where we actually have like 6 or 7 maps ready. That is the dream, where you go in, because going into a best of 3 and having one map where you just think you're gonna lose. I've been in past teams where you had like 2 maps that you had a permaban, and then you had one other map that you basically didn't feel like you could win on, right? So if you go into like and have to kind of win your 2 maps in order to win the series, that's tough. So our goal is preparing as good as we can for all the maps and be ready to enter the tournament. And I think we've progressed really fast, also because we put extra work these first 2 weeks. But I think we got a head start now, and with 1 month left, we should be able to get things ready so that we're at least comfortable playing. Obviously, 1.5 months is still not enough to have every single detail down, but at the same time, it's enough to be ready. And I think we should be able to show a really good end at the ESL.
Perfect. That sounds good. I think that's a great way to wrap it up. Any last words you wanna give? Any shout outs to anyone?
I haven't learned any Finnish yet, so I think
We'll get
I'm
there.
probably gonna end it here. And yeah, I'm just gonna say that I'm happy to be here, and I know this obviously isn't a full Finnish team anymore, but there's still 3 Finns here. The organization behind it is Finnish, so I obviously hope that even though there's been some problems, I hope that the Finns will still support us, because um, obviously the identity is still Finnish, even though we are an international team now.
All right. Hey, thank you, Snappi, and we'll talk again.
Yeah.
And everyone watching the video, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.